Welcome back to St. Isidore's Farm.
Here's a few updates on what's...
On what?
On the farm?
Quick update on the do-nothing farming method up here in this field. We got what I think was probably as close to 100% germination rate on the buckwheat as we could have gotten. Two problems. One, we hit a drought for at least a week and a half after that, and we're not really set up to irrigate this field. And then secondly is just, again, low, the soil quality up here just continues to be poor. So you can see, if you sort of look around, there's buckwheat all up here growing, but you can see how tiny it is. And this is the buckwheat plant. These should be about this big and fully leafed out with much larger leaves and flowers. So, not sure what to make of it. An additional problem with the buckwheat, one of our hopes had been is that this would be a forage for our bees, but all of our mimosa trees are in full bloom right now as well. And because there are, I don't know, at least 10 of them, and they're very large on the property, and because honeybees tend to go to one plant for pollination, they don't go to multiple things, they are on the mimosa trees. And so even though we have this field of buckwheat up here, can't find any honeybees, not a single honeybee up here pollinating them. So hopefully it will continue to do a little bit to improve soil quality. At some point we will cut this, put it down, and come back in with another crop, something else in here to continue trying to build. But at some point, the question becomes, do we bring in something so some kind of compost or topsoil or something else into this area in order to improve the soil quality? So bring in an external from the farm, or do we continue to try and do it the slow route? The other thing that might help is using some kind of organic fertilizer when we put plants in. That I think that might help. Just to get the plants larger so that when we cut them and they decompose back into the ground, we're adding more green manure back to the soil than these small plants. Well, that's the update for the do-nothing farming experiment up here. So go on to some other things. But you can see, obviously, things are growing just in the wood chips of their own accord and doing quite well. So I think what we're going to do is just plant a lot of our extra seedlings in the wood chips. As you can see from that video that we shot a few days ago, just about how we had a lot of weeds starting to grow out here in these wood chips. And these chips, as you can see from this video, we started piling this up out here about 2 years ago. So they've really started to decompose. And there's just a lot of weeds coming up right in the wood chips. So if they're growing here, we went ahead and started planting. A lot of what we've got out here is melons. So in several different places, we've got watermelon, melons, and then down there, as you can see in these spots, here and here and here, we've got some zucchini that we just planted straight in, and the original first leaves are dying back, but they seem to be doing okay. A challenge out here is just irrigation, so we're going to still try and get an irrigation system set up out here. But let's go and look at some plants that we put in wood chips over in our primary garden area. Quick in the garden, we've got, things are coming along. We've got radishes over there and some beets, tomatoes we put down at the end. Those onions that are coming up right there, those were from some scallions that we bought and cut down to just the little white root part. Instead of throwing them away or composting, we just stuck them in the ground and they grew. And that's what they've turned into, but we're gonna try and pull the seeds off of those. We've got some cucumbers growing here, peppers coming up here. Some of the peppers did not transition well out of the greenhouse to out here. Some have, some haven't. We still have more in the greenhouse, so if ones don't do well, we'll just replace them. Tomatoes have done really well that have transitioned out here, so they're starting to really, you can see they're really starting to take on some size pretty quickly. And again, we were late getting these out here. Some more cucumbers and then beans down there growing up on those cattle panels. This is what I wanted to show you guys, is that we planted these peppers out here. So we've got peppers, a whole row of peppers that we have just planted into these, it's wood chips, and we've covered them back over with some drier wood chips. But if you dig down here a little bit, you can see that these are really, it's starting to break down quite a bit. And again, got a lot of volunteer plant seeds, weed seeds that are coming out here. So we've also done, get out of the way, a row of tomato plants out here as well. Again, we just put these in here, so they have not really had a chance to go. But we're hopeful that these, if you've been following Mark at I Am Organic Gardening, he's been doing some experiments of planting some things directly in wood chips. With some varying results, different plants doing well, but as if you step around that last tomato plant, watch that one. We also just came in, I should say the boys came in, and put sweet potato slips straight into the wood chips. Again, we've got all kinds of seeds germinating out here, but we put sweet potato slips all the way in down here. What did you guys put these in, like 3 or 4 days ago? Not that long ago, and they didn't have any leaves on them, and they're already leafing out. So that is pretty promising. So depending on how these go, and then those peppers and tomatoes, we've got probably another 10 or 12 feet between them that we may come back and stick some other things inside here and just see how it goes. I mean, it's an experiment. We've got extra plants from seeds that we started in the greenhouse that we're going to be able to use. So may as well give it a shot. I mean, if worst case they don't do well, but maybe they put some roots into the ground, help break things down and create soil out here. Best case scenario, we actually get fruit from them. So if you don't have, or if you're new to gardening or getting into and you don't have one of these stirrup hose, or I guess what they call action hose, these things are awesome. If you watch the little video here, went in and cleaned up, it really is, it's really a lot of fun, as long as the weeds don't get too established, that the roots don't get too far down. But right when they first start coming up, this thing works wonders. I mean, it's tall enough, it's really easy, you don't have to bend over, and you just got to push it back and forth along the soil and kind of rake the top of it, almost like sweeping your garden, and it will eliminate roots pretty effectively. I mean, you have to go back in around the plants still maybe and pull some, but highly recommend stirrup hose if you don't have them. All right, want to go check on the swarm and see how they're doing. As you can see, we've got the hive that we moved from over there, and it's doing great. The swarm that we moved is in the middle and doing fantastic. And then we also did, or I should say, my wife did a split off of another one of our hives. So did a walk-away split over here. So we've now added 3 hives right here. So that's 14 hives. That we're up to for this summer. And with the mimosa trees just going super strong, there is a heavy nectar flow right now, which is great. So we should be able to get a fair amount of honey this summer. So the idea that you can move a hive more than 3 feet, less than 3 miles, it does work. If you do it right and put a lot of obstructions, things in the way in the entrance, and force them to reorient, it does work.
So every year when the blackberries ripen, the blackberries come out, so does something else, which is these Japanese beetles that basically wreak havoc on all the fruit trees, especially the peach trees and plum trees, and some of the apple trees.
Plum trees especially bad. So what do we got?
We have a bag-a-bug. So it's got a pheromone releasing attractant for the beetles, and once they fall and slide, it's basically the material is so slick that they just can't get out, and we've got up to there of just beetles.
That's just what, this morning? Right?
Yeah, it's this morning.
Just put this thing out here. So these will become, oh, are you gonna, so those will become chicken food in short order. And we got one out by the blackberries. We'll go check that one real quick.
And here's our second bag. Blackberries. Yeah, you can see beetles everywhere.
Yeah, they are just really going, they're just really going to town. You can just see them, how thick they are in the sky around here. Like a swarm of Japanese beetles. Like a swarm of them.
Yeah.
Man, if they're getting more traps.
Yeah.
But all the blackberries we've got coming on this year. Tons of blackberries. Pick these things.
So this apple tree has roughly 41 apples on it right now, but usually when the apples are starting to get along really well, the deer come along and eat all of them or most of them. And so, as you can see in this video, we're using the same fishing line fence as our garden. So,
Yeah, and how's it worked out there?
over there it's worked, as long as you keep and check it, they haven't snapped the line, it works really well. They can't get in.
This is what we changed it, so this is not 30-pound test, this is
50-pound test.
So upped it to 50-pound test on this one, just because that was what was available at Walmart. They were out of 30-pound tests, so, but hopefully we'll actually get some apples this year. Yeah. Well, that'll be it for this update. Really shot enough video for these two videos. The irrigation stuff that we already uploaded ended up taking a whole video, which we didn't expect. So we added all this stuff into this one. So a 2-for-1 upload day. So thank you guys for all of your continued help with everything coming out here and planting stuff and watering stuff and putting in irrigation. So hot day now, time to take a break in the middle of the day, go jump in the pool and maybe feed the chickens some Japanese beetles. All right, until next video from here at St. Isidore's Farm, take care and
God bless.
God bless.
God bless.
Chickens!
Come on, chickens.